Yo, my name is Benjamin, and in this video tutorial, I'd like to show you how you can set up a website in Framer with smooth scrolling. We'll be using scroll targets to animate to a specific section on the page, and I'll even mix in a little bit of parallax. Let's start by going over the basic setup of this demo page. I have this little sidebar here that is pinned to the bottom and the left side of the screen, and has position set to fixed. Our page itself is a stack, and the page contains 3 sections, each with an image, where each section has width set to fill and height set to 100 VH, meaning each section will occupy the full height of the viewport. Now we would like for each of these text items here to scroll the page to the corresponding section. So we would need to add a link. So with the first item selected, let's open the link section and you'll see 2 pages appear. We want to point to a section that lives on the same page, so we need to select home. However, nothing appears here that allows us to scroll to a specific section. This is because we have not yet added any scroll targets. This will allow us to add unique identifiers or IDs to specific layers on our webpage. I'll select the first section and I'll go over to the scroll target property. Here we can give it any unique name. I'll call the first one Horizon. If we now go back to the link we added to the first item here, you'll notice a new property appears called Target that allows us to select any existing targets on the page. So we can now select the horizon target, and then we can set scroll to smooth to have it animate as well. And that's basically it. So now we can select the second section, add another scroll target or identifier. I'll call this one Discovery, and I'll do the same with the latter one and call it Stranger-Land. Now we can go back to the index and update all the links. With the text layer selected, I can also hit L to bring up the link menu. I'll select the home page and then the discovery target, and I'll set scroll to smooth. And I'll do the same for the final link. Point it to the home page, select the target and set scroll to smooth. So now let's give this a little preview. I can click on any of the links here and it will scroll the page to the corresponding section. Pretty nice. Now for a lot of use cases, this is basically all you need to know, but I want to also take some time to cover how this would work when your links are actually components. So in my demo project, I have this simple item component. On hover, this animates the left padding to about 10 pixels, and it also animates the opacity from 0.6 to 1. It's just a stack with a single text layer. So let me go back to our little sidebar and replace each of our text layers with this component. Next, let's update the titles, and I'll speed up this part. Next, let's give this a preview to see if our component works. As you can see, it animates to the right and it animates the opacity. But we do not have any links yet. The question here is, how do you add a link to a component? So we could go into the item component and add the link as you normally would, including the target and the smooth scroll property. However, if we now go back and give this a preview, you can see that all links now point to the exact same section. This is because we have defined the absolute path of each item within the component. We instead want to make the link to property a variable. We can do this by clicking on the label. And we can do the same for the scroll property. Creating these variables allows us to override and define the link and smooth properties from outside of the component. In other words, it allows us to define it here, just like any other component property. We can now set the link and the targets just like we did before, And instead of having each link point to the same section, we can now make sure they each point to their unique scroll target. And if we give this a preview, you can see that now each of the items point to the correct section, plus we get this cool little hover effect. So that's how you can add scroll target links to your components as well. Finally, I want to highlight that smooth scrolling can also be combined with scroll speed effects in Framer, which you can use to create these cool parallax-like effects. Here I have the image selected that is contained within each section. As you can see, it's pinned to the bottom, left and right sides, and the height is set to 150%. To this image, I can go ahead and add a scroll speed effect. For example, I could set the speed to 50%. And I have already done the same thing for the other images here, where on the last image I set position to scroll, which allows me to define a custom offset. This really depends on the images you use. In my specific case, I wanted to control the cropping of the photo, making sure the car was in view. It's mostly a case of playing around with some of these values until you get an effect that you like. Now let's publish and have a look at the final result. With the addition of our scroll speed, we get this pretty cool cascading effect that we could customize even further. And that's pretty much it for this video. I hope this was helpful. If it was, I would love to hear from you in the comments. I'll also make sure to include a remix link to the final project in the description. And thank you for watching.